Good morning, everyone. Futures Brizio here. Monday, just after 10 a.m. Hope everybody's doing well. I don't know why I don't hear anything. You guys hear me if anybody's on? Looks like should be good. Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. I can see it on my other computer that I'm monitoring on. So I hope everybody's doing well. Just jump in here on a Monday. I figure I'm going to try to do more of these live streams, even if I'm not actually um, talking with anyone at the moment. Just if anybody joins, they can just kind of see my thought process on some of this stuff. And so we'll take a couple of quick looks and see what's happening, what I have for open trades, and go from there. So hope everybody's doing well. I had a good weekend. I did cut at least one live video and a recorded video over the weekend. I also did a Saturday just chat hangout talking about fake YouTube gurus and buyer beware on those folks. So let's just take a look here where we're at. So I went through my charts last night, just set up a few alerts. I got this one a little while ago. This is on the Swiss yen. And again, we're using range bars here or range candles. I shouldn't say bars. These are candlesticks. Uh, you could change it to bars, but I prefer to use them as candlesticks. And so on the left, we've got the 500 range, which again is our kind of our bigger picture. And this was the arrow I drew last night or yesterday when I was looking at this. And you can see we've kind of got this well, like quadruple or quintuple top right here. You can see off of this 201 to 201.50 area, maybe not 201, but around this 201.50 area seems to be a pretty hot zone for selling. And again, we hit that area last Wednesday, and then we tried to hit it again on Friday, didn't quite get there. And then today, during the start of the London session, we again tried to go up and failed again. So if we move over to the right, we've got this same view of this area here, right here, and you can clearly see these lower highs coming in. And then on this candlestick, which happened just in the last couple hours or so, we broke this level. You see it triggered my alert that I set below this level. So, but we haven't made a new one since. And remember, this is 25 on here. So these candlesticks on the right, these range bars here are all 25 pips. So we had this initial run down and pop through here, and then we haven't moved since then because it hasn't painted another one. That's basically telling us that the price has not moved 25 pips since then. Now, the average range, if I remember right, the Swiss yen has a pretty steep daily range, especially when it's moving. It can easily move, 100 plus pips a day. And so I would like to see another one kind of like form here and drop below this one because we did get a break below this zone right here, but like I said, when it breaks just below here like this, yeah, I mean, it's a good signal, especially if your bias off the longer range is such that you're bearish. But I would like to see a little bit more from that, uh, because I do think if it does go, if we do start going short, and the bears really step in here, that we could easily get a push back down to these levels down here around 200, between 200 and 199.50, somewhere in this range. So that would be a nice little trade, even if that's as far as it got. So I gotta I'm gonna take this alert and slide it down a little bit further and see if we can pop that. And then I might consider a short on there. Okay. So that is Swissy yen. Euro, yeah, Euro Canadian. Again, I can continue to hold this one short. I've mentioned this the last couple of videos. I've been holding this trade now for several days. It is approaching my TP, which is sitting here around 1.6, which is a pretty conservative take profit area. Because if you look, this is on the 500. We've got this kind of we've got this level here that price ran out of, and then we've got this longer term swing low way down at the bottom here. My TP is sitting here basically at the breakout of this zone. That could end up being a little bit too conservative, but I've been holding this trade for a while, so um, I'll be ready to get out of it soon. Although what I might do is if it gets very close to 1.6, which it's about 25 pips away from that right now, I may just drop a trailing stop on there and maybe put like a 25 pip trailing stop and just see if I can get it to go a little further. I don't always like to do trailing stops. They're a mixed bag, right? Because if you keep it too close, chances are your trailing stop's going to get hit, which is fine. You still lock in the profit. But if you put it too far away because you're trying to squeeze more out, you run the risk of giving back a lot of profits if it reverses sooner, or you get a really steep pullback. And so it's kind of a mixed bag, that sweet spot of like, where do you put your trailing stop? Um, you can use something like an ATR um, indicator to kind of give you an idea of what is the average true range so that you can, if the ATR is 30, meaning like 30 pips, then maybe you put your trailing stop about 30, 35 pips away, and because it's just averaging out. Doesn't mean it's going to work, but anyway, so that's an option. But either way, this is approaching my TP here, so um, I do think we'll see some sort of reaction off of this zone only because this was a very strong breakout area before. Really, it started on this candle, um, and that's probably it's probably going to have some sort of reaction from this zone. But you can see over on the shorter time frame, we had a little pullback this morning, but it looks like it's trying to go down again. All right. And what else am I in here? Euro, Aussie, pound, Aussie, both short. I'm in. I'm just looking over at my funded. So let's look at those two. Euro, Aussie, pound, Aussie, probably the same essential setup basically. And yeah, you can see here um, we've got the Euro, Aussie breaking through this level right here. I had this alert that was triggered this morning, basically on this candle. I believe I got in right here. I'm going to get rid of this one up here. Actually, get rid of both of these now. No point. Get rid of these alerts on both sides. Okay. So my only hesitation with this is obviously it's pretty clear here. You can look to the left and you can see we've got this area around 1.65, 1.63 has been a pretty big reactive area right here. So I don't know what's going to happen when we hit this area. If we're going to bounce, we did have this move out that led to a new high. So this is probably for me is going to be a pretty short term play. Um, I mean, we're already pretty much at these lows now. But again, if you look over at the 25 or the 250 range, you can see we've just had one one red bar after another since really since the market opened. You can see right there where my pointer is. That's 1700. That's 5 o'clock yesterday. So that's when the market reopens in my time zone, and it hasn't really looked back since then. So it's a very bearish momentum, but it's, again, it's approaching an area where I think we'll at least see some sort of reaction, even if it's just a temporary bounce. So I don't know how long I'll hold this trade, but it's been a good little one, anyways. And I'm holding basically the same trade on pound AUD. So let's look at that one. So on pound AUD, it's a little bit different. We still have potentially some more downside here. Now, even if we just end up staying inside of this, you can see this range right here. We've got basically these highs, and now we've put in one low, and you can actually see we have a projection candle, which I have it turned off, but you can see this little black shadow right here. Those are the projection candles. So the range bars will actually project where the next candle is going to go, whether it's going to be a bull or a bear candle. And you can see that one is already projecting. And I think it's because I drew this box, so it's creating a contrast on my chart. Because I have this so that I don't see these projection candles, because to me they're a little distracting. So I just changed the color to the black background so I don't see. You can't turn them off in the settings. I'll show you what I mean. So right here, projection candles. These are the settings for the range bars. I just made it black so that I don't see them. But when you draw this box, I guess it's creating like a little contrast in the background there. So, but you can see it's approaching this low. And again, this probably, looking at that here, probably down here around on the right hand on the 250 range chart on the right. You can see this area around 190, around 192, 191.80 is probably where we're going to see a reaction. So what did I say? 191.86 as a potential TP area. So we'll look at that. So those are the trades I'm in right now. That pound Aussie and euro Aussie, I took those. Pound Aussie, I took uh, this morning, and the euro Aussie, I believe. Yeah, I took both of those earlier this morning. I had alert set on those from last night. Again, they're essentially the same trade. They're just they're at a little bit different spot on the charts in terms of what I think is the floor, or at least a reaction point for them. And so we'll see how those go, but I'll be watching those very closely as we go through today. And they may be very short-lived trades, to be honest. Let's see. All right. So beyond that, um, that's all I have for open trades. I did get an alert earlier on, I think, euro yen. Um, maybe not. Let me see. Do I have an alert set? Yeah. I have this. Here's euro yen, and again, it's kind of like Swiss yen. We've got a bunch of recent tops up here, and then we had this over on the right. This is the 250 range again. We had this move, which looks very sloppy and corrective. So even though we did get a short trigger right here, I was alerted on this trade, probably in the last hour. So I didn't take it. Um, I don't like all of this. This doesn't look really impulsive. It almost looks very corrective, right? A lot of overlapping candles, green, reds mixed in, big wicks on the reds. Um, so I just didn't feel it was worth it. So I did not take that one. Um, I got a couple of other alerts earlier on like pound kiwi, I think. Let's look at pound kiwi. Yeah, this one I didn't take either because again we basically are approaching these lows right here to the left. I got to move this out of the way so I can zoom in, and you can kind of see this right here. Now, there's probably a little bit of downside here, downside potential. If we look to the left at all these old support levels, it's probably going to come down, but you can see there was a lot of buying off of this kind of 229, basically this 229.40 level right in here. And again, I probably could have taken it, but I already had pound Aussie short. So I just didn't feel like that was worth touching that one. So I didn't take that one either. We'll see what happens when it gets to that level, but I expect it will bounce. And I think that's it for the alerts. I think overnight I had Aussie yen trigger. As you guys know, I was short Aussie yen, and I ended up closing that. And as it turns out, that was a good move to close it. And it was also not a good move, though, that I didn't proceed to take the long, because we did get this bounce last night around off this level. This came in right around the 5 o'clock time last night. And then around, so this would have been around 6:30 last night. I actually wasn't home between about 6:30 and 8 last night. I was out at dinner, so I missed this entry. And then things were kind of quiet till about midnight, and then it started moving again. So I missed this entry because I wasn't around when this trigger came, and then all these preceding candles after that came during the overnight when I was in bed. So I guess the positive side is I closed the trade, the short that I had on there, and I think I only ended up taking about a $50 loss, as opposed to obviously I would have been looking at a much larger stop out if I had just held on to that. And again, it was just based on just looking at this. I always start, like I said, on the 500. And we were, if you just take the most recent area, right, we had this consolidation breakout, one candle pullback on the 500, liquidity sweep, and then up. And then looking at that same area here on the 250, here was that same consolidation area. That's same as this. Here's the breakout. We did have one little red candle pull back here, and then we had this deeper one, and then it bottomed out. We threw some, set up a very minor little range right here, a couple of big wicks showing that the sellers could not take this below this, like 113 level, 113.10, and then it shot up. But for this one, honestly, it was more a matter of just timing. I just wasn't around when these signals came in. Like I said, I don't chase price. So that was the other one I had an alert set. But like I said, it just came at a time I couldn't do it. So that is that. And those were all the signals that I got in terms of my alerts. Um, so yeah, let me see here. Mm, I am trying to show you guys. I got to figure out this StreamYard here. I'm trying to like figure out how to change the screen, the tab that you're looking at. The way I have it configured, I don't know if there's a better way. Um, I just picked the tab. I've got multiple tabs open on my browser, which I know you can't see above here. And one of them, like I have my Discord, and I'm just trying to figure out how to just quickly switch to show you my Discord channel where I posted all these screenshots last night. And I do that mostly for my own benefit. I want to be able to like for my setups, and I want to be able to look back and see like, okay, what actually ended up happening. So I take screen grabs, and then I post them in my Discord under screenshots and setups. But I can't figure out how to I can't figure out how to change this while I'm talking here. So that's okay. Um, I'll put a link to the description, a link in the description to my Discord, and you can certainly feel free to check that out. It's free to join, and when you go in there, there's one of the channels is um, screenshots and setups, and you just click that, and then you'll see what I posted last night. It's basically just screen grabs, just like this. I just take these screen grabs from my TradingView terminal, and I just dropped them in there. Yeah, maybe it's because I can't because I can only do one at a time. Let me just see here. I'm going to take this off for a second, guys. Yeah, that's okay. I don't want to tie up the video here. All right. So that's that for Forex. I did have one open futures trade I took this morning. Was not looking good. I don't think I've been stopped out of it yet. But let's see if we can go and check that out. I'm going to change the range to 20 because I've told you guys I day trade futures, and we'll turn the moving averages back on. And let's take a quick look at all of these. So we're only looking on the right here. Forget about the 500. I don't, you can't, this is way too long of a interval for futures because you're dealing with contracts. But so we're only looking on the right here, and we have this set to 20 now. So this is basically, a couple of ticks here. And so this one is wheat. You can see the moving averages have kind of flattened out here. So things are kind of starting to range a lot more here, really, since last Thursday. Things started entering a more of a range feel. And you can see them, like I said, the moving averages are just even the longer term one is flattened out now. So that's a little bit troubling. You can see we had this attempted move up here, and this thing was doing really well at going up to new highs. And the last real like kind of dip we had out of support was on Friday, and then we tried to run up here on Friday. We didn't even get close to this old high, and then it pulled back again. So this is a little troubling that we might just be entering into more of a ranging market on wheat. So we'll see what happens here. I'm not certainly not going to short it, but I don't like just the way it looks right now in terms of the this pullback. You can see here that normally we get these pullbacks in wheat, and they can be very volatile. They can even dip below the 34 moving average, which is the blue line here. But even then, the moving averages in general are still pointing up, and there's still very clearly bullish price action. And if you compare that to what it's doing now, this is not the same, right? We've got kind of um, choppy looking price action below the moving average. Right in here, it still looked like we were going to be bullish, but you can see we came down here, tried to go up, it failed, pulled back again, tried to go up again. It did go a little further that time, but failed again to make a new high. And now it's pulled back again. Oops. Sorry, guys. Sorry about that, guys. My dog was barking at a delivery guy. So, so we're just struggling here to go to make any progress. So I'm just gonna, hold off on doing anything with wheat right now. And that's that. Corn is still continuing to rally. The last entry on this was back on Thursday during the overnight session. You can see this was around midnight. So this was the electronic session on Thursday. And it's really just been going up since, although it hasn't done anything today. You can see this candle painted about 8 o'clock last night at the market open back to the old high, and has not done anything since then. So, but either way, this is not an entry. This was the last entry. So there's nothing to do with corn right now. Soybean is continuing to still pull ahead, although there's the last entry again was back on Friday, and that's still going. Now this looks a little bit like wheat, but more bullish because wheat was starting to do this thing, but below the moving averages. So maybe wheat will still pull out and start rallying again. It could just be taking a pause. But anyways, nothing to do here in soybeans, as price is really pulled away from the moving averages here. And then we have soybean oil, which is getting really choppy. This almost looks like it's going to start trending downwards now. If we look at the moving averages and just the price action. However, this thing can make really, really crazy deep pullbacks. Okay, you look at this right here. This was back in this was just back on yeah. This was only a week. Let's see. So 21st. Yeah, this was last Tuesday. So this was just about a week ago, and we had this really big pullback here. Multiple, lower highs, lower lows, moving averages pointing down, and then boom, all of a sudden it starts pushing down, pushing back again, comes back through the moving averages, pulls back, and then we get a new high. So I'm certainly not ready to start shorting this thing. We have a lot of market structure below here, I think would have to be violated. But there's really nothing to do with it right now. Um, I'm going to take these alerts off, at least that one. And for these long alerts, I'm just going to move this one down a little bit and we'll see. So nothing really to do with it right now. Overall, I still this is still a bull market. This all does look more corrective, but you can have these crazy long corrective periods here. And if you try to jump on this too fast to go back in the direction of the trend, you can get burned. Right before the market opened this morning, we were looking like this is where we were. All of this has just been since 9:30 when the market opened, all this red. But if you look here, this was just as we were coming into the morning session, right? It looked like, oh, this is pretty bullish. We had green, 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 green. But I had this trend line drawn. I'm like, okay, I don't trust this trend line unless it came up here and violated the recent swing highs, like up here. I wasn't going to touch this. And then sure enough, what it do went right to the trend line and rejected. Okay. So that's just not anything I'm going to touch right now. So I want this to, kind of come back up and it's really probably gonna. I don't know if this trend line will continue to be challenged, but I would have to see some sort of breach to really show bullish momentum to get back into this. So not touching that one right now. And then okay, here's the other one. So yeah, this was soybean meal I was in. I got in this morning. I immediately was in drawdown by like $250, and now I'm up $80. So I don't know. I'm not really overly thrilled at where this one's going. Um, you can see the moves to the upside are getting a little bit shorter. So I think we could have some buying starting to slow down here. So we'll see. If we can get back up to this old high today, I think that would be good. But we'll see what happens here. I'm going to move my stop up a little bit here just in case it does reverse and start coming back down. I'll give it a little breathing room, but we'll see what it does. All right, so that's the only one I'm in for futures is soy meal, this one contract, and we'll see how that goes. All right. I'm gonna go back over to Forex. We need to change this. Get rid of these moving averages. I don't use them for Forex. What is this here? Aussie US dollar. Just the first one I clicked on. See, Aussie USD has kind of this range right here, right? This does look pretty bullish. All right, off this low. This actually would have been a decent entry. This came last night. Again, I don't like chasing price, and we're almost back to this old high right here. So not going to be chasing that. So I got enough trades open right now, anyways. So that's fine. I'm good with that. So yeah, I'm think I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I'm not gonna go through every pair. I went through kind of the ones that I had kind of identified last night as being potential setups. I'll look through these a little bit later today and see if there's anything else. But I'll leave it there. Any make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. If you're watching this in replay and you'd like to maybe get on a live, sometime in the morning if I have time, then leave it in the comments, and I'm happy to schedule one. I didn't really schedule this; I just kind of like set it up and went. So I probably need to be a little bit more strategic and actually put it on my YouTube channel scheduled so that people that are subscribed will be notified that I will be going live instead of just dropping the live and expecting people to jump in. Um, so yeah. All right, guys. So I hope you have a great rest of your morning, and I will talk to you soon. Hope that was helpful. And again, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Even if you're seeing this after the fact, it's still helpful. And we'll go from there. All right, guys, take care.